years from now where I wouldn't even remember my son's name. So all this power that I got, and I'm taking my son to the Sox game and all that, I wouldn't be able to remember his name from a misdiagnosis. And what we need is we can empower the pharmaceuticals and make more money. That's one thing. I've never stepped into a situation where I didn't make people more money. So we can empower pharmaceuticals, we can empower our industries, we can empower our factories, we can bring not only Adidas on shore, we could bring Foxconn to set up a factory in, I think, Minnesota, 53,000.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin. They have 4,000 jobs, people making $53,000 a year. And one of the things we got to set is Ford to have the highest design, the dopest cars, the most amazing. I don't really say dope, I don't say negative words and try to flip them. We just say positive, lovely, divine, universal words. So the flyest, freshest, most amazing car. And what we want to start with is, I brought a gift with me right here. This right here is the iPlane 1. It's a hydrogen-powered airplane, and this is what our president should be flying in. Look at this, Jared.
We'll get rid of Air Force One. Can we get rid of Air Force One? No? You don't like that?
Well, we're going to have Apple, an American company, work on this plane with. But you know what I don't like about, it's not that I don't like, what I need Saturday Night Live to improve on, or what I need the liberals to improve on is, if he don't look good, we don't look good. This is our president. He has to be the freshest, the flyest planes, the best factories, and we have to make our core be empowered. We have to bring jobs into America because our best export is entertainment and ideas. But when we make everything in China and not in America, then we're cheating on our country. And we're putting people in positions to have to do illegal things to end up in the cheapest factory ever, the prison system.
I'll tell you what, that was pretty impressive. You know, I hate to say this, Jim. Do you want to say something? What do you do after that?
You don't mind if I...
You are fan. Please, Jim, please.
He doesn't look good, we don't look good.
Right. Great, right? Isn't that a great statement?
Yes, it is.
And it's so true. As a country, it's so true. Very impressed. I've never seen Jim Brown impressed before. He was impressed. That's true. That statement is amazing, huh?
Yeah.
I want to tell you, it's great to have you guys with us. And we're going to go in, we're going to have some lunch. That was quite something. That was quite something.
It was from the soul.
Yeah, no. It's really, really very interesting. Yes, yeah, please.
So you had said of President Bush,
you know what? Can we still hear the rest of this? This is President Bush they're talking about. Can we just listen in?
I think we need to care about all people. And I believe that when I went on to NBC, I was very emotional, and I was programmed to think from a victimized mentality, a welfare mentality. I think that with blacks and African Americans, we really get caught up in the idea of racism over the idea of industry. We say if people don't have land, they settle for brands. We want Polo Sport and Obama again. We want a brand more than we want land because we haven't known how it feels to actually have our own land and have ownership of our own blocks. So when you don't have ownership, then it's all about how something looks. It's about the patina, it's not about the soil, it's not about the core. So we focus more on, is somebody wearing something, is someone disrespecting me, so I gotta shoot them, or the idea of someone being racist. You know, we talk about police murders, which we definitely have to discuss, and we have to bring nobility to the police officers and make the police officers are just like us. But this is this whole hate building, right? And that's a major thing about racial tension. And we also, as black people, we have to take a responsibility for what we're doing. We kill each other more than police officers. And that's not saying that the police officer is not an issue because they are in a position of power. But sometimes they're in placement of law enforcement. They need to be law power. It's force versus power. When you shouldn't have to force people to do that. So a lot of times a police officer is sitting there, they're being forced to do this and forced to do that block, and then they force somebody into something and force something. We have to release the love throughout the entire country and give opportunities. A lot of times it's just the overall lack of reparations that we, at any given point, we say, oh, this is racist, this is racist, this is racist, this is racist. So we don't have the reparations, but we have the 13th Amendment. We got to open up the whole conversation. So, and that's a move, one of the moves that I love that liberals try to do. The liberal will try to control a black person through the concept of racism because they know that we are very proud, emotional people. So when I said I like Trump to like someone that's liberal, they'll say, oh, but he's racist. You think racism can control me? Oh, that don't stop me. That's an invisible wall.
Mr. West, what would you like?
But you don't think... Oh, your question. You have one question. We're going to go to another question. Okay. I answered your question. I don't answer questions in simple sound bites. You are tasting.
All right, we've been listening into Kanye West meeting with President Trump there, a roundabout dialogue talking about prison reform, the 13th Amendment, which, of course, abolished slavery in the United States. I want to bring in Caitlin Huey-Burns. Racism, a little bit of prison reform, talking about President Bush. What do you make of what we just saw?
Yeah, a lot to unpack there, and it seems like that conversation went on for a little bit longer. The fact that Kanye West is in the Oval Office is not something that's entirely new for this president in terms of his relationship with him. Remember, he went to Trump Tower during the transition to meet with him, and of course, Kim Kardashian met with Donald Trump and actually was successful in getting a commutation of a sentence for someone she was advocating for, and the president was very responsive to her, and he's been very responsive to Kanye West, and he points to Kanye West often as an example of the African American community, and he likes to talk about at rallies how he is doing well with various constituencies. What we also have to consider about this president too is that he, for a long time, was kind of part of the celebrity culture, and oftentimes now that he is officially involved in politics, he has been shunned by that community, and celebrities have been very active on the other side in opposing Trump, and so he often points to Kanye West or others who have come out in support of him to combat the criticism that he does get from Hollywood, from most of Hollywood.
A lot there in that meeting. Caitlin Huey-Burns, I want to thank you very much for joining us on set. Well, we're going to take a quick break. You're streaming CBSN.